To another conversation this hour, and joining us in the hot seat this morning is former Cabinet Minister Raphael Tuju. He's here with us this morning. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
As I said, as the Tanzanians would say, matatizo nimeyazoea sasa. Yes.
A year ago, you wouldn't have said that.
Well, it was a more quieter time.
Yes.
But I like first of all to thank a lot of Kenyans, so many Kenyans who have prayed for me. I get so many messages of encouragement, and in terms of strength, internal strength, I think spiritually I'm stronger now than I've ever been, because I've seen the hands of God, I've seen the grace of God, and I'm fine. I'm alive at least.
Oh, that's good. I mean, we'll get into the details of to why that is. But as you know, Dennis takes us to a different African country every week. We've been in Egypt this week.
Yeah.
Maybe this proverb would say something to you.
Yeah. So a country of 107 million people. Suez Canal important for the country's economy, and the Nile River as well, helping with agriculture and supplying water that is critical for the economy that is Egypt. But let's go to the proverb. The beautiful is beautiful, even right after rising from sleep. The beautiful is beautiful, even right after rising from sleep. How would you interpret it?
Well, I think I would interpret it that, beauty is not just what you see on the surface. It's what is intrinsic, it's what is inside the person, and that remains. It doesn't matter, whether they've just woken up or even if you try to drag them on mud, they'll still remain beautiful.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was a bit worrying a few weeks ago to see you in the situation in which you were in, because one minute you were standing and literally the next you were being administered emergency medical care within the confines of a police station. How did things deteriorate so quickly when we were met with the news over the weekend that Raphael Tuju cannot be found, and then you appeared Monday morning and then were arrested, and then you were in critical condition? Please explain to us what happened, because, since then, I think you were taking a minute to kind of rest.
Well, let me put it this way. My dairy business park at the moment has got more police vehicles than the divisional police headquarters. So it certainly means that there's somebody very powerful who is got an interest in my property. What happened on the Saturday when I had to take cover was that from the previous day, I'd noticed that I was being followed by some vehicle.
Okay.
And it so happened that on that Friday, the police OCS of Karen Police Station came to my facility. They were on a routine. They normally go for security reasons. In fact, at that particular time, it was supposed to be an alert on possible terrorism attacks in Nairobi. So, I don't want to go too far into that, but they came because our facility has a lot of foreigners who come in, and a lot of, high-end individuals who come to the facility. So they came to warn us just to increase our security. So, of course, in passing, I told them, look, I'm a little bit concerned that I'm getting some vehicle which follows me. But, I didn't take it very seriously because I did increase my security detail. So at any given time, I would have one or two vehicles in my security detail. And what happened is that this particular OCS decided to go and, make an OB on that particular mention that I gave to her, his or her. But then all of a sudden on Saturday, about 6 something, almost 7 o'clock, I was heading to a radio station for an interview. And I think they'd been promoting it on air.
Yeah.
So that made me particularly vulnerable. I realized that made me vulnerable.
Yeah.
So, of course, getting into, I would overtake, they would overtake. Of course, my security vehicle noticed this. And then, of course, after a roundabout, I took a very sharp turn to the left, and it was such a sudden turn that they passed. And of course, is a one-way, so they couldn't have turned around. So that gave me the exit into a current area where I had to make calculations. Do I continue to drive? In which case, they could still meet me. I don't know how many of the vehicles, how many vehicles there are which could be following me.
Yeah.
And so I decided to abandon my vehicle. And fortunately, one of my security vehicles, which was following, was right behind. And I stopped when I noticed it was them. And I went to this other security vehicle and had to take cover. Ordinarily, if that kind of thing happens, you go to the police station and report. But as I told you, my own diary was hosting about 50 policemen. So how do you go to the people who have?
Was there a clear threat at that point? When you talk about them being close to you in the proximity of your vehicle following you, did you feel that somebody was going to arrest you? Did you feel that you're going to be taken? What was the fear at that point that would make you leave your vehicle? I think the threat on me is real. Okay.
And and you have to assess who is likely to be after you. So I think on 9th of this month, was it this month? Yeah, 9th of this month, when some people were arrested at my place by EACC. Maybe you've heard about that. You've heard about that.
Yes.
That some people were arrested at my place by EACC.
Yes.
As these people were being arrested, of course, they were trying to shake money out of me on behalf of a judge, and that case is going on. I'm a witness.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into detail. But one of the people who was arrested at my premises, he had a gun and he had to be disarmed. All right? Okay. Now, these are people of the underworld. He was arrested, and the first thing which had to happen is that he was disarmed. The case against them is pretty open and shut. Okay. All right. And they did try to call me if I could back off. And that, I think, also is in the public domain. I mean, they were so stupid as to when they were calling me, I recorded them.
Who's they?
Well, there are 4 people. One of them is Wachira. Mr. Wachira, he's a lawyer. The other one is Mr. Tom Awili. The other one is former Justice Mutava. And the other one is a certain Mr. What is his name? Is Mr. Mbau. Okay. Right? Okay. So they were arrested, and I think that is in the public domain. The pictures are all there and so forth. But so Tom really called me and said, the discussions which are there are in the public domain because I recorded it. As late as last week, Wachira did try to call me, and of course I refused to pick the call. So the people like those would have an incentive because I'm the chief witness in the bribery case, which involves this judge. It is incontrovertible evidence, but I don't want to go into that because if you are that innocent, why did they go to court to try and stop their being investigated? I mean, if you are innocent, you simply accept to be investigated and give your alibi as to how you get into this scene. That is one. In my East African Development Bank case, the chief witness of the bank, who was the manager in charge of Nairobi, recanted the evidence that they had given to court, the evidence that they had given to the police. And Fred Ojambo is a person who is under investigation. The only reason why he's not under investigation at the moment is because he consorts with Amin Mohammed rather, so to speak, and I can say that with confidence because I have got evidence. And officials of the bank are facing criminal charges at the magistrate's court. And this is not being prosecuted by me. This is being prosecuted by the DPP and the Attorney General.
Okay.
Right? So it's not hearsay.
Okay.
So in all this, if I add the fact that there was a fake auction of my property, one bidder, the property was valued at 980 million. They allegedly bought it for 420. There's just one bidder. And that auction had been stopped by court. All right? And the evidence is there. So, of course, if this person is very determined to have this land, I'm the only person who is standing between them and that land. So there are enough people who would want to see me out of the surface of the earth.
Sure. I mean, I can understand that.
Yeah.
Sorry. But something doesn't sit quite right, Raphael. And to understand that night, that first Saturday when there was news everywhere that Raphael Tuju could be missing, what it did in the minds of many people was that it caused a stir of worry and concern.
Of course.
And that they said, okay, well, if this is as a result of this case, does that mean that there's state operation in still disappearing people? So you can imagine what that did in the minds of not just Kenyans, people who then are active in the space where abductions and things like this, they're fighting for them to not happen. So for people on Monday morning to find out that you were actually not abducted, you were not kidnapped, you were not apprehended by state operatives, it did something in the minds of people. To ask the question that was there something else going on? And so you have to answer to that.
Yes, I need to
put
answer.
some of those things to rest.
I need to answer to that.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is that it's an indictment of state. The state that when somebody disappears, they become suspects. It's an indictment of the state itself. All right? The next thing is also an indictment of the state that when I'm in danger, then instead of running to the police for help, I run away from the police. That's an indictment of the state. Because the state had used its apparatus at 2:30 a.m. to raid my place without any legal basis. They had no orders to evict me. They were acting on behalf of somebody else. All right? And until today, they have not been able to get such an order.
Yeah.
Indeed, I do have orders which maintains the status quo. But they are trying to make sure that status quo does not happen by stopping me from getting my... I had 23 tenants there. They have kicked all of them out. All right? Which amounts to economic sabotage in the sense that they don't want me to get the kind of rent that I get in that place, which of course is injurious to me, injures me financially because the rent which is being paid by those people is attached to a bank loan for having improved that place. So it's economic sabotage, so to speak, because they have absolutely no reason to be there and they have not been able to explain. So it's really a pity that we have reached a situation like that. And then when I came out on Monday, and there's a reason why it took a whole day. If I came out on Sunday, I had to make sure that I called some of my political colleagues. I had to make sure that I'd arranged the media when I'm going to come out. Because if I just came out and said, yes, I'm here, they would have come for me. And they did come for me. And I don't know who was following me. And when they came for me, I said, okay, fine, let me go to the police station and you interview me, make a report. I'm not running away. I'm not a flight risk and so forth. But you saw how they handled me. All right? So that was not friendly handling. I mean, they threw me down like a sack of potatoes. I injured my back because I do have 3 vertebrae on my back, which have joined with 7 screws. Now, if you throw me on the ground like a sack of potatoes, it's almost attempted murder. Okay?
I mean, Raphael, I look at a position just on order of events. You took the initiative to increase your security detail.
Yes.
Because in one way or the other, you felt your life is on the line, is under threat. And at the time when security officers came to your premises at the time to increase, to do their routine checkups, increase security because of the terrorism threats that were there, right? The OCS at the time took the matter and reported an OB. That means she had picked up the matter and she was following up to understand what exactly is happening that you feel your life is under threat. And at the time when these individuals were following you up, or rather now as we speak today, what is the progress of that OB report that was filed by the police? Because one would assume that after Tuju disappeared, he's shown up. There is an OB report that had been reported way earlier, and that investigations went into that to give a report on where they are with that. Any information with that?
You know, I would be very naive to imagine that the current, say, for example, DCI would investigate. I did report to the DCI an incident in which Fredo Jambo uttered false affidavits. He presented a fraudulent affidavit. I gave them the names of witnesses, not only witnesses, court proceedings, which are on record in court, that it was obvious. And he had claimed that the affidavit was witnessed by a commission of oaths, and that is not the case. There was no commission of oath witnessing of that particular affidavit. Straightforward criminal things that are reported in, I think it was January 5th. It is April. They have not even interviewed Fredo Jambo.
Yeah.
They have not even interviewed any of the witnesses. They have not come back to me. So, if there was any indication that these people could investigate, then that would have been one. But then you get a situation in which some 20 or so police land cruisers get into my facility with policemen wearing balaclavas.
Yes.
And getting into my premises without any eviction order, whatever the case may be. Over 100 of them. I think it would be very naive for me to think that these people would be people that I can rely on to investigate any danger on my life. And here is a situation in which, of course, I've helped the EACC to arrest people involved in corruption in the judiciary. So under normal circumstances, I mean, if the government was serious about fighting corruption, they should be providing me with security.
Okay.
Yeah.
They should be.
I mean,
Instead of the other way around.
because
but then, so I would be very naive to think that they can be of help. That's why I've had to arrange my own security. Even as I'm here right now, I do have my own security.
you know, you've mentioned that the police officers have been, over 50 of them, have been at your premises since then. That's Dari Business Park.
No, they keep on changing. I mean, sometimes they're more, sometimes they're less.
But now,
Sometimes they have more vehicles
We're
at
talking
my
about-
place than at the divisional headquarters.
individuals who've seen your tenants kicked out
Yes.
on what basis? Because you're still the owner of the
Yes,
property.
yes,
the
yeah.
status quo still remains.
Yes.
So, under what basis then would government of Kenya, through police, evict your tenants? Because the agreement that there is between you and the tenants, not
Precisely.
between the government of Kenya
Precisely.
and the tenants.
Precisely. So why did they do that?
Have they told you why? Or did you just wake up one day
Look,
and your tenants had left?
I mean, with all due respect, I mean, I sympathize with the police officers because when I asked them, they told me, look, us, we're just obeying orders. All right? And I went to the point of actually meeting the IG at his offices, a very courteous of him to agree to see me because I took to him the court orders and so forth. He told me he wasn't aware of those court orders.
Okay.
Those court orders. But I could see, with all due respect to him, I think he's a good man. I think he's an honest man, and I've known him from before, having worked in government. But this is beyond him. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do some quick fire here. Questions, Raphael. What does the court order say?
Well, I can send it to you, but the court order says that the status quo has to be maintained, and that the title which Mr. Chebet got is set aside until this matter is finished. Because the so-called auction only had one bidder. Yeah. And the so-called auction had been stopped by the court, and the court order is there to show that. And the registrar of lands was served before he did any registration of this new order. Okay. And the PS lands, Mr. Korir, was served, but they still went ahead and do it with impunity. Okay. So that court order is there, and is clear in its own that the status quo remains, and that the new so-called title, which is with Mr. Chebet, is set aside. Okay. So from the court's perspective, this, as far as they're concerned, the dairy property remains yours. Yes. Whomever bought it under auction, that has been put aside. And when the court says put aside, essentially is null and void. Yes. So the status quo remaining the same means that you should be able to then carry on business at the dairy property. Precisely. Business as usual. Your clients should actually be in the property and continue paying rent, and you should go ahead. Precisely. That's there. What is the issue as concerns the loan now owed to the Africa Development Bank? And that case whereby they need their money, you've said let's go ahead and pay, they don't want the payment. Explain that to us so that it makes some sense. Well, it's interesting. Last year, the board of the bank did request the Kenyan Treasury, because Kenyan Treasury is a shareholder, and we had a meeting with EADB and myself and the Treasury, under the chairmanship of the Treasury, and Mr. Oromoi, who represents Kenya in the board, that we come up with a solution. Okay. Mr. Mono, who is the acting chief executive of East African Development Bank, attended. But he said that he didn't have the powers to make any decisions. Okay. So he told me, can you give us your proposal on the way forward? Yes. And I gave them a proposal the way forward. You violated the contract. I'm ready to pay you the money that you lent for this particular project. Forget about any damages that may be there. And we wrote that letter on April 14th. We met on April 14th last year, and then April 16th, I gave them the proposal as per their request. They've not been back to me yet. Okay. So these two scenarios are operating parallel to each other. Yes. The money owed to the EADB is a Raphael Tuju business issue over here. Yes. This property having been sold to somebody else, who presided over this procedure? Who was involved? Because there's got to be somebody who said, okay, well, we can go ahead and sell this thing. It can be up for auction. Why would it then be up for auction out of the blue? I mean, it's like my property. Somebody can come and decide that they're selling it to somebody else, unbeknownst to me.
In the presence of a court order.
Right, in the presence of a court order. So how would that process then have taken place?
Is impunity. In fact, there was no auction because they are not able to produce, and this is the things we discussed in court. There were no other bidders. It was a single bidder. Because they're not able, because first of all, when you do the auction, you're supposed to have a bid bond.
I'm sorry, but Raphael, but why would there be a proposition for sale if the owner of the business has not put this thing up for sale?
Those are the questions that I think Kenyans should be asking. I mean, definitely, to me, it's just impunity. It is impunity, pure and simple, that they think they can get away with it. And that's why I'm saying that when I say my life is in danger, I'm the one standing between them and that property.
Okay.
Of course, that's
Okay.
number one. And I know that there were enough people who are interested in that property because of the Talanta Stadium.
It's not too far from that, is
it's
it?
not far from there. It's got very good access to it. And it is a matter of interest that, fortunately, for some of the people who are interested in that space, they did approach me, but I did notice that Kefri advertised availability of 5 acres in the forest near Talanta Stadium. And they asked bidders who are interested in building a 5-star hotel to bid for it. The 5 acres that Kenya Forest Services had offered available to all Kenyans to bid. And some Kenyans bid, and they're already there. They qualified and they got the 5 acres. So I would hope that they should reduce their interest on my property.
I mean, what you're talking about doubles up on the rule of law.
Yes.
Why do I say that? Because this is, Raphael Tuju is not just any other ordinary Kenyan. You've served this country as a cabinet secretary, and a matter that involves you then is something that is well within the who and who's of the Republic of Kenya, right? And when we talk about the land that is where Dairy Business Park sits on, it is something that as well has been in the media circles, has been in court for a very long time. That a court order has been given, yet we see an auction process that continues to go on despite a court order stopping it, and that we see a title deed has been processed, because who processes title deeds? It has to come from government, Ministry of Lands. So then, is this then a long chain of individuals, then government, who want to see Raphael Tuju out?
No, I think is not just a Raphael Tuju affair. I think you're seeing so many other people suffering the same fate. The Raphael Tuju one is just because I'm in the public domain. Is because, again, I do have a certain amount of gravitas to be able to put up a fight.
So other people with prime property could be, pushed out of their property just because you can. Okay.
Yes. And of course, this is happening. I think it's not news. I think even this last week, a few other cases have come from Kiambu and from other places. So it is impunity. Some people think they can get away with anything. I mean, if you look at the papers on any given day, even the headline today, 8 billion dirty fuel bill. How can things like those happen? Unless it is because there are certain people in certain positions in government who think that they can do anything and get away with it.
Some of the things that have come out is that it's possible that this could affect other people as well, so long as you do have some kind of prime property. Raphael, just try to decongest this for us, because whereas the EADB issue is one, it would appear as though the reason why this piece of property is up for sale is because of a default on the payment of the loan. And so that's why somebody else could come in and bid for it if the courts then had gone ahead and said, because of no payment, and EADB did go to court over this. And so the reason why this could be sold is because of this non-payment. Now, if that's the case, and then there was an offering to be made to the bank and say, well, we can pay, and the bank doesn't want the payment, decongest that for us to understand why.
I mean, it's inexplicable. I mean, first of all, the property is valued at, the dairy property is valued at 980 million. Why would the bank want to sell it for 420 million? What we are offering the bank is over 1 billion shillings in order to get out of this. But of course,
as in, you have that money to pay the bank today. Say, take the money. Here's the loan.
Of course.
All right.
The thing is that I don't have the money cash myself.
I understand.
But the thing is that I've been able to make those financial arrangements 3 times before, so that if the bank would say yes, let's settle and cut loose. There are 2 banks which are able to come on board because my projects are viable, and they've always been viable. Okay. I'm not a speculator in the real estate business. I've always done business and I've borrowed money before and paid banks. I'm not a defaulter in any other bank. So this happens to be the first one where they say I've defaulted, but the default is because they violated a contract. But that's a different matter. I don't want to go into it in detail. I think what Kenya is dealing with is a pathological greed When people don't know when enough is enough, is pathological. And when you're dealing with pathological greed, it's very dangerous, because this is a situation in which it doesn't matter how much certain people get. The people with the pathological greed, they never have enough. I mean, you could be wearing a very nice suit, but then they see you in a T-shirt and they like your T-shirt and they say, I'd like to have that T-shirt as well. When it's pathological, just like pathological liars. They don't know how to say the truth. So I think that's what we're dealing with at the moment, because some of the individuals involved in this, they have thousands and thousands of acres. So why are they after 20-something acres in Nairobi? Weighed against the thousands of acres that they already have. And if that is not enough, then really we're dealing with a pathological situation here.
When you were picked up by the police and arrested and taken to the cells, one would say the treatment did not meet the threshold within which you treat even someone who's incarcerated. At the time, access to your doctors, to your lawyers, was a difficult thing. And one would say that is not how the game is played, even when one is an accused person. Many have said that you, Raphael Tuju, lied to the people of Kenya, that you were abducted, that the sources who spoke even to the media lied to the media. You've explained yourself as to where you went and why you did not even go to the police. Respond to what led to the kind of treatment that we saw, because if you were in the hands of the police, many say, if you're in the hands of the police, you are in the safest place because they're supposed to protect you. Why then did we see that kind of treatment?
Well, you can say it was to humiliate me, but I don't think I'm really humiliated, because when people are using their muscles, I think it is them who should be humiliated for that kind of treatment. I mean, I've had so much sympathy. Not only locally but internationally. I mean, I've got calls from my former colleagues in government in all over the world. But I do know that I'm a political item, so there's no running away from that. I worked for Raila in 2022 together with Uhuru when things were not going on according to what they thought. There was some shenanigans, they thought. And I think that Uhuru did send Ogola, the late Ogola, to bombers of Kenya. And likewise, Raila sent me, as a person who was working together with him, to go and have a look what was happening. And I engaged the late Chebukati, find out what was going on, but not only the late Chebukati, I engaged all the other commissioners. And the commissioners were divided, and I think the rest is history. I mean, 4 commissioners are saying this and 3 commissioners are saying that, so that was a crisis, and naturally I was there. But I've been told by some lawyer who was very close to the powers that be that after that they did even consider the possibility of arresting me and take me to court for treason or something. As
they did or didn't? They did.
No, they did contemplate.
Okay, they did contemplate. Okay,
and the lawyer, who is, I don't need to name him, but he told me that was one of the considerations of the government of the day. So I do know that I'm a political item of interest, and I cannot deny I worked for Uhuru and I worked with Raila during the last election process, and there may be people who are very angry with my political situation. I did make a very conscious decision to get back to my business, to work for my family and my children. I resigned from Jubilee and I resigned from Azimio so that I can just concentrate on my life, which always went on even before I went into politics. I was reading news.
So would we be right then to say that everything that we see today, away from your agreement with the bank, the court matters that we see today, that all we see is politically influenced?
Well, I would be very naive not to think that there's some political influence on this, because why should there be more policemen and more police vehicles at Dari Business Park than you get at the Langata Divisional Police headquarters? Yeah. I mean, that's not a gazetted police station, so why should there be so many policemen there with their vehicles? Yeah, so unless I'm very naive, I can only read politics in it. Yes.
So from what you see, there's far more than meets the eye. And there's the thing about cases like this is that it's tried in the court of public opinion, and that opinions sometimes then form narratives which will be carried. And the truth is that the only people who know the truth are the people who know the truth.
Yes.
In cases like this. Is there anything else from where you sit that could be the case beyond the things that you've mentioned that could then influence what is actually ordinary in the lives of very many people? Land issues, court issues, debt issues, back and forth. But this seems to have been carried out in such a way that we've thrown in politics, thrown in, vendetta, thrown in so many other things, which again goes back to the question that, is there anything else that could be the reason behind this, save Raphael Tuju was seen having a conversation with somebody about what could have influenced the result of a general election, and that didn't sit right with somebody, and that, his land could be taken. It could be anybody. And that, yes, you do have political gravitas as somebody who was in an influential position in government. I think the Super CS started with you, kind of thing. But the questions still abound that what is this thing? Is there something that there seems to be a queen bee somewhere?
Yeah. I think it's a multiplicity of issues. But I think for me the most important thing, which really should be of concern to Kenyans, is the rule of law and a credible judiciary. And that's because a failed state normally is defined by failure in the executive, corruption in parliament, failure in various sectors. But the moment you have failure of the judiciary, then the country is gone. Because then what then happens is that then people take the law into their hands. People develop militias. So that, like in this case, how can we have a situation in which there's corruption in the judiciary, and it means that then it completely undermines the rule of law, so to speak. So for me, I could be on trial. I mean, EADB could be on trial. Like, for example, I'll just give you this. Maybe there are too many moving parts in this particular case. The EADB operates under an EADB Act of 2014. This has been declared unconstitutional because it gives the EADB gives the Minister for Finance the opportunity to be able to get money sent to EADB without parliamentary approval. and also not to be audited. Okay, so there's a hole there, and unfortunately, this EADB Act was made into Kenyan law in 2014 when
after you had taken the loan.
No, before I took the loan.
Okay.
And who was the Attorney General who presented in Parliament? It was Githu Muigai. And at the same time, Githu Muigai's farm of Muigai and Nyaoga were acting for EADB. So there's serious issues of conflict of interest. But then now it has been declared unconstitutional. Because surely how can you be getting money from the exchequer?
So if that's the case, then they should not have been able to offer you the loan in the first place. One would ask the question that even if it was unconstitutional in terms of its operation, Raphael, then it was unconstitutional for them to offer you the loan in the very beginning.
No, even any contract has got issues because that EADB Act allows them to operate outside the Banking Act. And when you operate outside the Banking Act, which means that any violations it cannot be dealt with by the central bank, which is the regulator, which it is not regulated by by the central bank. Now, as a consumer, if you say these are hospitals and people come here with the stethoscopes and dust coats saying they are doctors, I mean, all you have to do is to dress differently and move.
I can convince you.
and say you're a doctor, and I'll come and consult with you. So it's the responsibility of central bank to be able to tell us this is a bank. But according to the Constitution, the constitutional, the act which allows them to exist, is unconstitutional to the extent that it does not obey the Banking Act. It is not under the Banking Act. Unconstitutional to the extent that it does not. They have not been able to submit audit accounts as demanded by the Constitutional Court for the last 11 years. It is unconstitutional to the extent that they get money from the exchequer, but when it comes to auditing, they're not audited. And when it comes to even the law, obeying the laws of this country, supposing that they insisted that, okay, pay us double because that's what's the Diplom rule. They said, no, even double we will not accept because we are not governed by Kenyan laws. So how do you operate in Kenya as a bank and you're not subject to Kenyan laws? So those are the things that were declared unconstitutional. They have not argued against that. They are now arguing that they want to be given more time to operate outside the Constitution. That is what now we are fighting in court in the Constitutional Court. So it was a mafia, right? The officials who are involved in this particular matter are facing criminal charges in court. They have gone to the Constitutional Court again to say that they have diplomatic immunity, which is outrageous because diplomatic immunity does not protect you from criminal charges. I mean, an ambassador cannot rape their house help and say they have diplomatic immunity. Whatever is criminal is criminal. So in this particular case, they are facing criminal charges on this matter. And they had no response except that we are immune.
I mean, beyond Tuju, the politician, the businessman, Tuju who's in court fighting the EADB, there is Tuju the person, Tuju the individual father out there. And we see immediately after that there is what happened at home, you with the Council of Elders and decisions that you did made. How has this been for you as an individual, for your children and the community that you do serve?
Well, definitely my children are very traumatized. My children don't even want me. When I leave home now, they insist on asking me, where are you going? Who are you going with? Who is the driver? And who is the security detail? They almost want to know, even as I'm here now, they want to know that I'm here. I have security to tell them, yes, we have arrived at SpiceFM. And when I leave this place, they'll want to make sure they'll follow throughout that where which road are you in at the moment. So it's very, very traumatizing to my kids, extremely traumatizing. But I think that there are many Kenyans going through worse situations. There are Kenyans who are being robbed of their property. They don't have the same kind of public the public have not noticed their problem, so they're going through very painful processes, but without the kind of moral support that I'm getting from Kenyans.
So what happens now? Is it a kind of wait and see situation? Will business continue at Dari? Do you wait for the court to pronounce themselves further? What happens today?
Well, I mean, the fact that there's a police station at my Dari business park, there's nothing I can do that. I mean, it's the government to decide when they want to move out of that particular position. As I said, I did see the Inspector General. That's as high as you can go in the police force. And, I could see the look of an innocent man. So to that extent, I can only say that there's the members of the executive, the political class. The IG's office is supposed to be an independent office, and he should obey the law and apply the law. In this particular instance, they are in my premises, outside the law. So it's just impunity. How long this will continue, I don't really know. But I'm in court. I'm fighting the criminal in the magistrates court, where the EADB is facing criminal charges. They've been able to stall it by going to High Court to say that they have got diplomatic immunity. Interestingly, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have also weighed in on this and say that there's no diplomatic immunity for criminal cases. That is the Vienna Convention. They cannot do it in any other way. But that case has been kept on ice for the last 1 year. The Constitutional Court is also considering the matters. It was declared unconstitutional. They are now asking for more time to rectify the act, which is the act which has enabled them to operate with so much impunity. They're asking for 2 more years, but they don't have any place in this because, the acts can only be done by Parliament, not by EADB. But they do seem to have a lot of influence, even in Parliament itself. They've been able to stall this process in Parliament for the last 1 year. But what I know is that the truth is very stubborn. And some people may be holding the clock, but they cannot hold the time. And sometimes when people have the clock, they think they actually have the time.
I mean, there is the bank, there is the Republic of Kenya, there is the judiciary, there is conversations that the individual at the bank said he does not have authority, but you gave them the proposal. Is there any move with the proposal that you gave, or have they gone silent? And in the light of everything that is happening, what's the way forward for you? What's the way forward for the bank? What's the way forward for the case? And for the individual who has your title?
Well, I think that's what's supposed to be dealt with in court. I don't want to prosecute my case on air. But I think that what is on trial is also our judiciary. A judicial officer has been accused for being involved in corruption. The EACC have got the evidence. That particular individual in the judicial office, a judge actually, has gone to court to stop that the EACC should stop investigating her. I think that that's an interesting development, because if you have nothing to hide, you present yourself to the EACC, which just got the mandate to investigate allegations of corruption, and say, hey, this is the position. I mean, if those people were arrested, they must have been just impersonating me, and I've got nothing at all to do with this. But there's enough triangulation which connects her to those people, and I don't want to get into that because I'm a witness in the court process. So, how can this, the country is in a lot of challenges. I mean, the Supreme Court itself, I did write a letter that we're going to approach the Supreme Court again, because after all, they had problems with Abin Nasir, they had problems with Harvey. So their problems with me, I think, is something that we can be able to resolve. Because I never asked the judges to recuse themselves. They recused themselves on their own motion, so to speak, because I knew that that's the final court. So let's see how it plays.
Definitely want to see how it plays. It was good to get some clarifications in terms of what has been happening. Things that play themselves out in the court of public opinion then oftentimes need public explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here with us this morning, Raphael. We can't run away from saying I wish you definitely all the best in all of this, and that, like you said, you may hold the clock but you don't hold time, and the truth is stubborn. It will come out at some point. Thank you for being here this morning, and we look forward to a time when some of these things can actually be sorted out and people can move on.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to explain myself.
For sure. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.